The recycling machine program intends to simulate the working of a recycling machine, where the user can enter some products to recycle, and upon finishing the recycling machine is meant to provide the user with a receipt. The recycling machine provides a graphical user interface, also known as GUI, and it also provides audible feedback to the user by means of text-to-speech, also known as TTS, as you can hear upon running the program.
Welcome to the recycling machine.
In this case, the GUI looks like a virtual desktop with windows within it. On the top left corner, we can see a window called Add Items to Recycle. By clicking on any of the buttons, can, bottle, crate, newspaper, we can visualize this automatically updating on the current status window. In case the user exceeds the maximum limit of a slot, which is 20 items,
Hey, that slot is full.
an exception is thrown and the audible message warns the user that the slot is full. Upon inserting all the items, the user can click on the button Print Receipt on the action window. By doing so, a receipt will be printed by default on the printer console window. Different modes of printing a receipt are available on the window printer options, and the user can choose to print into debugger console, by clicking the console button, or the user can print to the external display window, or the user can print to the internal display, which is the default, the user can also print into a file, and that's the file created. Or the user can choose to speak the receipt.
Recycling machine. Date. 3 Jan 13th 010411 GMT 2017. Line and item value 0 can 464. Number of items. 4 total. 64.
Now let's look into the code. First things first, the class simple tester defines the main method of the program. Okay, and the main method is the entry point of a Java program, and in here we simply initialize our object that we call main of the class gmain, and this class represents the main GUI window and initializes all the required classes and methods for the function of the recycling machine. This class extends the gframe class. Okay. And the gframe class is a top level window with a title and border. And gmain, by extending the gframe class, we gain all the properties of it, and we can also add our own methods and definitions. Now let's see, we have some objects and some classes, and we have a class customer panel, and this class initializes a deposit item receiver class, okay, in here. And the customer panel basically takes the printer interface, the printer that the user wants to print to, and initializes the deposit item receiver with that printer object. Okay, so now let's have a look into the deposit item receiver. The deposit item receiver defines methods to classify, so to classify the items inputted by the user, and also adds them to the receipt basis. Okay, and which stores the current entered items, and this class also receives the printer interface chosen by the user. So if we see here, we can have a look into our receipt bases, and this is the base class where we define where the items are stored, so they are actually stored on this vector my items. And in this class we define the methods to generate output for the different print methods. So the method that is now used is the compute sum, and this one this generates the receipt in a way, instead of going through a for loop, we do have a for loop to go through the item names, but then we just add them to another vector, so then we can count the frequency of that specific item name, and then we can generate our receipt in this manner, all organized. So now if we go back to the Gmain again, we have the current status frame, and the current status frame extends the J-internal frame, so inherits all the method definitions and also adds extra functionality. And this frame represents the window current status, so this one. And is mainly composed of progress bars, well, as you can see, progress bars. And method definitions to update these progress bars. And each progress bar represents a slot, okay, and each slot has a maximum of 20, and when we add the items, okay, when we add, for instance, a bottle, we check if it's full, and we check if it's more than 20, and if it's not, we add it, it's fine. But if that's not the case, then we throw a slot full exception. And the slot full exception is a class that extends the exception class, and its subclasses are a form of throwable. And the throwable class is like a class of all errors and exceptions that indicates a condition that the application might want to catch. And whenever any of the slots of the machine are full, they throw this exception, so slot full exception, and this will print the error to the console, okay, but it will also initialize a speech print object saying that the slot is full. Now adding back to Gmain, we have the console class. So we have object, console class. So this console class implements the printer interface, therefore implements the method print. So whatever implements printer interface has to implement print. And the method print, whenever called, it will print this to the debugger console, because that's what we defined. Now if we go back to JMain again, we have the printer display, and the printer display class extends the internal frame and implements the it extends JFrame and implements the printer interface. And this means that the method print has to be defined, okay, as we said previously. And we also add the functionality of JFrame, which let us create a printer console outside of the main GUI. So this one. Okay. Now if we go back to GMain again, we have the printer frame, and the printer frame class extends the internal frame and implements the printer interface class. This means that the method print has to be defined on this class, but also we add the functionality of internal frame, which provides a lightweight object that provides many of the features of a native frame. This class is represented in the GUI as the printer console. This one. The file print class implements. Okay, so if we go to the file print class, let's go back to JMain, the file print class. So the file print class implements the printer interface, once again, therefore implements the method print specified on the printer interface class. This class provides the ability to print a receipt into a file in the file system. The speech print class implements the printer interface, therefore the definition of the method print is implied, once again. In this class, the method print is creating a new speech thread, parsing the text to the the thread, and it will start the task, and after that the tasks self-destroys. Now if we have a look into the speech thread, this class extends the thread class, which let us run the TTS without blocking the main GUI thread. Once the thread is done doing its job, it self-destroys. This class uses the free TTS library, okay, this one, to perform the text-to-speech. And we can see that on, so that's the package we use, a speech synthesizer written entirely in Java programming language. And this class also extends the thread class, and the thread is a thread of execution in a program, and the Java virtual machine allows the application to have multiple threads of execution running concurrently. And the voice manager are classes provided by COMSUN speech free TTS package, provided by that website that I just showed you. Now, in the GMain class, we also define 3 more internal windows. the window add item to, what is it? Add items to recycle, the printer options, here, and the actions. Window. These windows manage the user input, in this case mouse click events. So when the button is clicked, so as you can see here, you have when a button is clicked, an event is triggered and an action is performed, and we define throughout the code a headless event that calls action performed that will be called upon the event triggering, and this event listener is attached to each individual button that we have on our GUI. And in the case of the window add item to recycle, whenever the user clicks one of those buttons, an event is triggered, the process of adding the respective item to the recycling machine occurs. Okay, so let's go up. So as you can see, if we click on the crate or on the bottle, items received, so it is. So for instance, if the user clicks on a can, okay, so if the user clicks on a can, the event fires and calls a method and adds a can, basically. Which will also, so it updates the My panel, and it also updates the current status frame. So it adds to the progress bar item, and it also adds the item into memory. And the same happens with the bottle button, the crate button, and the newspaper button. Just different items. In the case of the printer options, whenever the user clicks on one of the buttons, an event is triggered and the process of changing the printer occurs. So in here, and because all the print methods available to the user defined by console, the printer display, the printer frame, the file print, and the speech print class implement the printer interface class. This gives us the opportunity to allow to use mutability on the method chosen for printing, and this is achieved because the interface enables object polymorphism interfaces, which let us define different definitions of the same method. So we have different printers, although they all implement the print method, so they all function the same way. And then in case of the window actions, okay, whenever the user clicks on the button, the event is triggered again and the process of printing a receipt occurs. and this event calls the print receipt method. Okay. And it also throws a machine exception, although it shall not happen because whenever all the slots are full, you can never go over it. And that's it.